Thanks everybody for being here. My name is Jennifer Green, and I am the Director of Sustainability for the City of Burlington. I'm housed at the Burlington Electric Department, and we're really just so thrilled to see you all here today. I can't thank you enough. I especially want to call out our state government officials that are here, our legislators, our city councilors, our department heads, our commission folks. I also want to thank my staff, my colleagues, in particular, my friends from BED and other city colleagues. I want to thank community members that are here, important public stakeholders, nonprofits, and the business representatives that are here. I see you out there, and I very much appreciate your time and willingness to be with us this afternoon for this important announcement. And last but not least, I really want to thank and draw attention to our fourth graders who are sitting in the first two rows of the auditorium. So big thanks to Lori Hayes and Paul Houchins, fourth grade teachers, for bringing your classes down. We appreciate it, and we really look forward to the icing on the cake, which is a couple of minutes from two of your students. So thank you for that. And I'm going to turn it over to the mayor now. But before I do, I want to just sincerely thank the mayor for his leadership and guidance. Indeed, we would not be here today were it not for that. So thank you so much, Mayor Weinberger.
Well, let me start by saying we also wouldn't be here today if we hadn't been fortunate to have Jen Green serving as the city's sustainability director for, it's over a decade now, Jen, right? Or almost a decade, yeah. And she is enormously well respected by her peers. Whenever I go to another city, and talking to the mayor there, about climate issues, invariably it comes up that they know Jen's work and what she has done in Burlington. I also want to thank the entire BED team for their hard work to get us to today, to get us to the environmental accomplishments that we have already achieved, and to work very hard with others, as we're going to hear from today, to lay out this very ambitious new direction. He couldn't be here with us today, but I do want to thank former BED General Manager Neil Lunderville for the key role he played in crafting this net zero energy vision, and I certainly feel extremely fortunate that Darren Springer is the General Manager during this exciting and really critical time for our beloved public utility, the Burlington Electric Department. We're going to hear a little bit more from Darren later, but let me again just reiterate, the entire BED team has been involved in getting today, and I thank all of you. So, last person I want to welcome and thank is all of you. We are for being here and really bearing witness as we open a new chapter in Burlington's environmental and economic history and begin working with new focus and resources towards decarbonizing Burlington in order to do our part to avoid the worst impacts of climate change in the decades ahead. Before we lay out where we are going, I want to remember where we have been on our environmental journey as a community. Today's announcements are many years in the making, and our proud history of achieving great environmental successes should give us strength and confidence for the major battles which lie ahead. Back in 1990, when Burlingtonians first supported an energy efficiency bond, there was no state or federal conservation program to look to as precedent, and no one could have known that 30 years later, in 2019, we would consume less electricity as a community than we did in 1989. In 2004, when the Electric Commission voted to end our power purchase agreement with Vermont Yankee, the state's only nuclear power plant, and at a time when we sourced only 25% of our electricity from renewables, the naysayers predicted a dark future. They said there would be rising costs and an increased reliance on coal. Instead, just a decade later, in 2014, the city achieved the remarkable milestone of being the first city in America to source 100% of its electricity from renewable generation. And we have done that while going more than a decade now without a rate increase. When this administration introduced in when this administration introduced in our early years new incentives, cut fees, and changed permitting practices to try to increase the paltry number of solar installations in this city, we were told that it wouldn't work. There were too many trees, too many slate roofs, and too much bureaucracy, they said, for Burlington to make much progress. Well, what happened? And I see some of our partners here in achieving this. We have, over the last 7 years, increased the number of solar installations in this city by more than 600%, and we now have the 4th highest number of PV installations per capita in America, and we are the only northeastern city in the top 20 of that list. So now we stand on the cusp of what will clearly be our hardest challenge. As tough as all of those goals were to achieve, the hardest challenges lie ahead. The goal we have set of becoming a net zero energy city by 2030 is the most ambitious local climate goal that we know of. Reaching the goal will require us to completely restructure our transportation and thermal sectors in less than 12 years. Reaching the goal will take Burlington beyond the traditional scope of city government or a public electric utility and put us directly in competition for customers with the oil and energy companies who are fighting tooth and nail to protect the status quo. Reaching that ambitious goal puts us in direct conflict with the United States president, who shows every day that he is fighting not just to preserve the status quo, but actually to take us backward with respect to energy. And we saw the latest example of that just last week as he is fighting the energy efficiency standards in California in new vehicles. Today, we take 2 big steps towards reaching that ambitious goal and overcoming all of these forces. 1, the net zero energy roadmap that we are releasing today details the path we must take to get to net zero energy on this timeline, a timeline that is driven by the urgency of a crisis that we know will have irreversible impacts if we do not make enormous progress by 2030. 2, our second major step, we are releasing more than a dozen new initiatives today, incentives, regulatory actions, and operating changes intended to propel immediate progress down this path towards net zero energy. Let me say just a little bit more about both of these steps. So we have up here with us some of the professionals from Synapse and RSG that put more than a year of analysis into the roadmap that we are releasing today. And it is a fascinating document. I know that you look around and we've got many energy policy wonks in the House here. And I really encourage you to read the document. It's a fascinating document. And it makes it clear that if we are going to do our part to stop climate change, the Burlington of 2030 is going to need to look very different than the Burlington of today. In that Burlington of 2030, it will need to be one where every one of our buildings is more energy efficient than it is today, and where 95% of residential households are heated with electricity, and 80% of the commercial floor space in this city is heated either by district energy or electric heating sources. The Burlington of 2030 will need to be a city where 90% of our vehicles, that's more than 20,000 vehicles, are powered by renewable electricity. And in 2030, Burlingtonians must replace about 15% of the miles that we drive currently with alternative transportation. The initiatives which we're releasing today show that the city of Burlington and our electric utility, the beloved Burlington Electric Department, intend to play a major leadership role in driving this dramatic transformation. BED will continue to aggressively seek to drive the change with new incentives and, when possible, reduced rates for customers who electrify their vehicles, homes, and businesses. A number of the new initiatives that we're releasing today are financial incentives to encourage people to electrify their vehicles and their homes. I want to be clear, especially to members of the media who might be covering this event, these incentives and these reduced rates are not handouts. They are financial decisions that represent good, sound financial thinking on the part of our public utility. They will benefit all ratepayers by allowing the Burlington Electric Department to sell more of its 100% renewable energy than we do today. And that will bring in additional revenues that will forward our ability to keep rates low for all Burlington ratepayers, BED ratepayers, whether or not they are taking advantage of these incentives. In addition to what BED is going to do, the city is going to play a leadership role by using its land use and code enforcement regulatory powers to push for further efficiencies and shifts towards renewables wherever we can. And the list that you're hearing in a moment will have another example of that. And finally, the city will play a key role as a sizable local organization and a property owner, and we will continue to make our buildings and our vehicle fleet greener, and we will work to provide the district heating from our biomass plant to help move us towards that new Burlington that I laid out before. But as I hope is also already clear from what I've said, today's announcement should also make it clear that no matter how pioneering, innovative, and aggressive the city is in achieving our local climate goals, to get there will require action and investment in a net zero future by Burlington residents and businesses. So that is really my final point today. Today I am calling on all Burlingtonians, residents and business owners to join city government in committing to achieve this net zero energy goal. To reach this goal by 2030, Burlington households and businesses must start considering electrification and efficiency today every time they are making a heating, building, or transportation investment decision. The building power plants and vehicles that are being purchased today will still, many of them, be in function and in use in 2030. So it is as we are making these new investment decisions today, Burlington households and residents need to be looking out into the future and thinking about how their decisions today will impact us reaching that goal. We're going to work to support this transition by making it as easy and affordable as possible to make those decisions. The dozens of new initiatives that we're announcing today will be followed by many more of initiatives like these in the future. Together, we can accomplish this vital goal and at the same time make Burlington healthier and more competitive and show the country that another future is possible. With that, I would like to introduce Darren Springer, the General Manager of Burlington Electric Department, to detail some of these further. Great.
It's very exciting to be here today to see a packed room of folks to talk about net zero energy. And before I begin, I just want to add my thanks for everyone being here. Particular thanks to the entire BED team, because I know that if we're going to shepherd this goal to fruition, everybody at BED is going to be playing an important role to make that happen. So I want to thank the number of BED folks here and the ones who couldn't be here for all of their work and all the work we're going to be doing in the future. Thank you all for being here. And I also want to thank our fellow city departments, department heads who have worked on this net zero energy roadmap with us, collaborated and provided input. This is not just a BED initiative, this is a city initiative, and it's going to be an initiative that all departments are going to play an important role in. And it's really my pleasure to be able to preview and highlight some of the key slides and takeaways from the net zero energy roadmap and make a few exciting announcements relative to new initiatives, as the mayor had mentioned. So up here we have the goal, which is net zero energy is about taking a net zero approach, eliminate fossil fuel use for electric, for thermal, and for ground transportation. And Burlington, we had the accomplishment in 2014 of being the first city in the nation to source 100% of our power from renewable generation. So we've made progress on the electric side. Now our challenge is how do we reduce and eventually eliminate fossil fuel use for heating, for ground transportation. We have our partners with us, as the mayor mentioned, from Synapse and RSG, and I want to thank them. We issued a competitive RFP for this project and received 13 well-qualified bids from firms around the country and are pleased to have worked with Synapse and RSG on a really thorough roadmap report. And these are the things that we asked them to do. Establish a baseline. How much energy of which type are we using for electric, for thermal, and for ground transportation in the city today. And then take that and project a business as usual. If we do no new things, if everything stays exactly as is, what does our energy future look like by 2030? And then let's figure out what are the pathways that get us to the net zero energy goal by 2030, and what are the recommendations that they have for us as a community to make that goal possible. Some key takeaways from the roadmap report. And the first one is that transportation is the largest source of emissions and fossil fuel use in Burlington and in Vermont. It's the biggest sector, and we are focused in the roadmap on the travel by Burlington residents, by Burlington Electric customers, and we have a secondary focus on visitors and commuters to the city, because we know there are ways we can help reduce fossil fuel use for visitors and commuters as well. In a very, very exciting way, transportation electrification offers the opportunity not only to do the right thing environmentally, but to save money for our community. We know that our 100% renewable electricity is a cleaner, cheaper transportation fuel than gasoline today. And drivers who are driving electric can save money today per mile. But we also know that this is a good opportunity for us to buy local. Our community really values buying local. When you spend $1 at the gas station filling up, 20 cents stays in the Vermont economy. We estimate when you spend $1 charging up your electric vehicle with Burlington Electric, more than half of that dollar stays in the Vermont economy, and more than 3/4 stays in the regional economy. So electrification of transportation is good economically for the local economy, for the driver, and for all of our customers. We know that buildings are a major challenge, and we need a variety of strategies, and that includes weatherization and energy efficiency work in practically every building in the community. And it includes electrification, things like cold climate heat pumps and geothermal heat pumps. And it includes additional renewable fuels, such as renewable natural gas, other renewable fuels that can be used in the building sector. And finally, it's important to note that Burlington can do a lot, but we will benefit if the state and the federal government support us in this effort. And so from the state perspective, whether or not we price carbon, for example, is a big variable in how we move forward. From a national perspective, whether or not electric vehicle incentives continue, whether fuel economy standards continue or stagnate, those are important things as we look at the roadmap. This pie is the representative portion of fossil fuel use for different segments of transportation and heating in Burlington. And you can see that transportation is the largest portion of the pie. However, when you take out the vehicle miles traveled by visitors, which is the striped portion there, it actually turns out that buildings end up being a larger portion of fossil fuel use and emissions than transportation, and you'll see that reflected in the roadmap. Here we have business as usual versus net zero energy. The top line here is business as usual. Represents about a 9% reduction in fossil fuel use by 2030 just from doing the things we're doing now. The green line represents the path we want to be on. That's the net zero energy pathway, which gets us to largely reduce and eliminate fossil fuel use for heating and transportation by 2030. These are the solutions. These are the pathways and the solutions in the roadmap. You'll see 60% of the solution comes from having more efficient and electrified building sector, getting weatherization done, adding electrification to a large portion of our buildings, residences, and businesses, adding renewable fuels. 20% from electric vehicles, switching from gasoline to electric vehicles, and in some cases plug-in hybrids, enables us to use our 100% renewable electricity to drive transportation forward. District energy, which we've been working on, we're continuing to work on, is 15% of the solution, taking the waste heat from the McNeil biomass plant and using it to heat and provide process energy for some of our large customers in Burlington. And an important 5% coming from alternative transportation, everything from walking and biking, investments in transit, other investments that reduce the number of miles traveled in the community and make it more possible to reach the net zero energy goal. This is an important slide for us. This represents the increase in renewable energy from Burlington Electric that would be supplied to the community if we meet the net zero energy goal and go on the pathway in the roadmap. And the mayor mentioned, and it's important for me to mention as well, that doing this is a good thing for our customers, because if we're able to use the electric grid more efficiently and effectively, it actually can benefit all of our ratepayers. We sell more renewable electricity, we reduce fossil fuel use, we try to drive some of that use to off-peak periods when we're not using as much today and there's capacity available, is a benefit for every single customer at Burlington Electric. We haven't raised rates since 2009. We want to continue on a pathway to having low rates, and this is the pathway to do that. Energy efficiency, which we have a strong track record on in Burlington, we use roughly 6% less electricity today than we did in 1989, continues to be important, but it's important across all sectors. This is total energy consumption in Burlington in the net zero energy pathway, and you can see that we need to reduce our total energy use even as we make more and more of it renewable in the net zero energy roadmap. And then last but not least on the roadmap slides, the reason we're here, the reason we're talking about this, the reason we are doing this is we want to make an impact on reducing greenhouse gas emissions in Burlington, and we want to make an impact that resonates in other communities both around the state and nationwide. And this is the emissions trajectory as we move towards the net zero energy pathway by 2030. This is what we want to see, and the quicker we make these changes, the more emissions reduction we achieve. So today, we're not just here to present the roadmap. We're here to talk about some new programs that respond to the roadmap's call for action. And we're very, very excited to do this. We know that we have to make progress on electrifying buildings. And so today we're launching, and these are just some of the programs that you'll see us launching, full number of programs listed in the press release and on our website at burlingtonelectric.com. For the first time today, and in partnership with Vermont Gas, we are offering a new net zero energy home program where for the first time we're providing incentives for natural gas customers to install cold climate heat pumps. If you choose to participate in Vermont Gas weatherization program or Burlington Electric's weatherization program, there's a bonus incentive. We want folks to weatherize and install the cold climate heat pump at the same time. And we know that we want to make sure this is affordable as possible for low and moderate income customers, so we have an additional incentive for low moderate income customers on our cold climate heat pump incentive. Likewise, for the first time ever, we're offering a heat pump hot water heater incentive for natural gas customers. Make it more efficient to electrically heat your water and meet your water heating needs at home. Additional incentive for low moderate income customers as well on that program. Commercial buildings, for the first time ever, we are offering incentives for heat pumps and cold climate heat pumps, variable refrigerant heat pumps, geothermal heat pumps in the commercial sector. And for commercial building owners, for businesses, you can contact us at Burlington Electric, and we will work with you on a custom incentive in that sector. The mayor mentioned, not just having incentives, but regulations and policies. And just recently, through the Mayor's Housing Summit work, there's been a proposal brought forward that would make progress towards the net zero energy goal, which is to expand energy efficiency and weatherization standards across all rental housing, broader than we have today. That's an important smart regulation that can help us on the path to net zero energy. Transportation. We are already doing quite a bit of work on transportation. We have incentives today for e-bikes, for e-buses, for EVs and plug-in hybrids. We have an off-peak rate for our residential customers to charge up at the equivalent of 60 cents a gallon. What we're doing today is expanding that effort, building on that effort. We know it can be a challenge to get the upfront price of an electric vehicle to be affordable. So we know that sometimes a pre-owned vehicle is going to be more affordable and still offer the benefits of providing 100% renewable electricity for transportation needs. Today, we are announcing for the first time ever an $800 rebate on used plug-in hybrids and used EVs to make it more affordable for more of our customers to access the benefits of driving electric. We also are taking our existing EV and plug-in incentive and expanding it. It's currently only available 1 per household, 1 per business. It's now available 2 per household, 2 per business, and more for fleets. So anyone out there who has a fleet and wants to convert it to EVs, come talk to us. We want to help you. We want to provide incentives to make that possible. We also know that for some of our customers who don't have a level 2 home charging station, they just plug in with a regular outlet, they haven't been able to access our EV rate. They haven't been able to charge off peak for 60 cents a gallon equivalent. We are going to be announcing today that we're going to be working with a company that makes a level 1, so regular plug, Wi-Fi smart plug, that we're going to purchase and lend to our customers free of charge to use at your home, sign up for the off-peak EV rate, and be able to charge up for equivalent of 60 cents a gallon of gas. And that's going to be happening in the fall, so stay tuned for more details on when those cords will be available. We are going to, through today's announcements, expand the number of charging stations in the community. Right now, we have 14 public charging stations in the community. Over the next year, through a variety of partnerships, we're going to be putting in more than 20 new charging stations in the community, including a focus on multifamily buildings. We want to make it possible that if you're a renter, if you live in a condo building, you're going to have access to EV charging. We're going to be working with the buildings, working with the tenants, and making sure that we can install those at as many multifamily building locations as possible. We also know that if you try an EV, you're going to love an EV. They're fun to drive, they're powerful, and they're fuel efficient. And so we're working with CarShare to install a new charging station, and we're going to have an EV available through CarShare that you're going to be able to test out if you're a CarShare member and try an EV before you buy. So we're excited about that as well. These are just some of the new incentive programs. We have many more. You can check on our website, including an electric forklift incentive to complement our electric lawnmower incentives. We want to electrify everything. No sector goes untouched. Importantly, we know we need to track progress. We need to be able to share with the community how we're doing. So starting in 2020 with our annual performance measures report, we're going to be reporting on the net zero energy metrics. We're going to be tracking fossil fuel use reduction across all of these sectors. And in addition, we want to engage with the community. So we are going to be going to every single NPA over the next couple of months and sharing the roadmap with folks at the neighborhood planning assemblies. We're going to be seeking feedback through our website, burlingtonelectric.com/NZE, and you'll be able to share ideas with us through the website about how we can make this even easier for folks to work with us. And we're going to be having community events all over the community, so we look forward to engaging with all of our customers and with the community on the net zero energy effort. And it's my pleasure now to hand the mic over to Duke Dutra, who is not only a great BEDer, but he's the chief steward of our IBEW. And it wouldn't be possible for us to make these announcements, to make the progress that we're making without the hard work of the BED workforce. And Duke is here to speak today on behalf of them. So thank you, Duke. Here.
Thank you for having me. I want to point out to management and to the city that the IBEW Local 300 and the management team there are excited about the net zero. And as a workforce, we're going to make sure that whatever management in the city needs from us, we will work harder than ever to achieve the goals that the people of Burlington need to get what they need for their electricity needs. I'm not here to say a lot, but I need to let management know, and I have in meetings that we've had, that we support what they want to do. We have with the 100% renewable, and we want to move forward with them on this process and achieve our goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Duke. And I am going to turn it over to Jan for a few words, but before I do, I realize we really haven't given an appropriate shout out to the team at Synapse. So Jen Calais is here, as well as Asa Hopkins, and the subcontractor on the group, Resource Systems Group, RSG, Jonathan is here. So we really appreciate giving them a specific and special shout out, so thanks. And Jan, I'm happy to turn it over to you. For those of you that don't know, Jan is the executive director of the CVOEO, Champlain Valley Office of Economic Opportunity.
And it has to come down. Good afternoon. Why is CVOEO here? Because we have worked with Burlington Electric and with the city on many different projects to make sure that energy and homes are more efficient. And also, they have been a champion for us in the warmth program to keep Vermont and Burlington families warm during the wintertime, and we are eternally grateful for that. But also, it's our mobile home program, who went with BED into the North Avenue Co-op to make sure that the mobile homes there were energy efficient. And it's Burlington Electric and our weatherization program that has gone into Burlington homes to weatherize those homes for people who have low income. So in all areas of the sector, for all people of this community, net zero is possible for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Jan. Good. And then I'm going to turn the podium over to our esteemed Commission Chair, the Burlington Electric Department Commission Chair, Gabrielle Stebbins. Thanks, Gabrielle.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and you actually have two other commissioners here. You have Commissioner Moody back there on camera, and also Commissioner Herendeen. And the five-person commission is really here to answer to and speak with and hear from the public, from our Burlingtonians, about how the fantastic BED, I'm a little biased, how the fantastic BED team is doing. No rate increase in 10 years, great safety rates, great reliability rates, plus this. This is hard stuff. Thank you, Mayor, for your vision, and thank you to the full team as well as everyone here. We have senators, we have representatives, we have nonprofits, everybody. But really, fourth graders, how are you doing? Are you guys like kind of done? Probably. I have a fourth grader. She's actually at Champlain Elementary, so you guys will meet her in 2 years. And the real reason why we're here, besides job growth and affordability, the real reason is for these people. This is our future. When my 9-year-old looks at me and says, "Mama, this news is really depressing about rising sea level, about increasing immigration challenges, about people having forest fires that are devastating cities." And when we see that there is very little action at the federal level, although there are a lot of great federal employees, that behooves us to look inward and at our own communities. And so we're doing it. It's not going to be easy. Commissioner Herendeen and myself also serve on the Integrated Resource Planning Commission, and we had a meeting 3 weeks ago where we looked at what it really takes to get to that delta in terms of how to reduce how much we need, how to increase electrification, and then also our renewables. This is really hard stuff, and it's really hard by 2030. But we've got to do this. We have one choice. We can do it when we're ready and planning, or we can wait until these kids are 12 years older. So this is hard. We can do this, we must do this, and we will do this. And thank you, team.
Great, thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Graham McNeil. I am in 4th grade at Edmonds Elementary School in Mr. Houston's class. My goal is that in the year 2030, when I'm 20 years old, we'll all be living a net zero life. That would look like people not using any fossil fuels. In the year 2030, I hope most people will have electric cars. Think of how much cleaner our environment would be with without all that gas coming out of cars. Even better, people don't have to use cars at all. They could really help the environment by walking or biking. People should also start thinking about the heat pumps to heat their houses. If we change the heating, then all our heating would be made of fossil fuels. We could get our electricity from renewable sources like solar and wind. If people in electric companies like Burlington Electric did this, they could help Burlington and other cities become net zero energy consumers. In fact, Burlington Electric already has a renewable energy plant, the McNeil Generating Station. By making these changes, we would be healthier and our environment would be cleaner. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kaya Rubin and I'm 10 years old. In the year 2030, I will be 21. I know that net zero energy is such an amazing idea that will help prevent climate change and global warming from getting worse. Burlington is being such a great role model to the rest of the world. I love to play outside. In the winter, me and my family love to ski. During the summer, we love to swim in Lake Champlain. And in the fall, we love to hike in our mountains. But what will happen to nature if we don't take care of it? My generation and all the generations that come after mine will not be able to enjoy our beautiful world and have fun in nature like I do with my family and friends. So by going net zero by 2030, we can have a good chance of saving our planet. One way that everybody can help is by buying electric cars. Another way is we can use more solar and wind energy. It is very important to me that we are caring about our planet. If we don't pay attention and act, then our Earth will experience much worse climate change from overuse of fossil fuels. My classmates and I are glad Burlington is trying to make changes before it is too late.